Hey, g'day everybody, it's Matt here. We're carving this. This is a little comfort bird. It's made out of this wood here, which is black walnut. It's quite a light coloured piece of black walnut. It's got a tiny little bit of spalting in. Unfortunately, it didn't show in the end, but it still looks pretty spectacular. Now, first of all, we are blocking out the bird, so I'm blocking out the profile there. So virtually I'm just going straight down on that profile up to the line, and it's quite difficult with burrs to do this, but you can sort of like persist and do it. Now, if you've got a bandsaw, you can use that instead, and so you get a really straight line with that. I'm using a cutter burr there to tidy up the beak of the bird. Now, when you're carving something like a bird that needs to be symmetrical on both sides, you really need to think about center lines and where the bird is fattest. So I've put that line in on the side where the bird is going to be the fattest. And now I'm going to sort of like put the profile on the upward side of the bird. So I'm just drawing in one side of the head, and then I will transcribe that over to the other side. And I just tend to do that with a compass. And so I'll just put a dot in, and so I know where that line sort of intersects. And then what I'll do is I'll just join the dots, and that's a pretty simple way of doing it. Now this is looking down on top of the birds, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that line straight down, and I'm using a cutter burr there, but I kind of swapped and changed around from the cutter burr to the Kutzall flame burr. And so we have the bird, and it's all blocked out, and we can sort of see that it's square going down on the profile and on the top as well. Now, I carved this one before, I was just playing around, and you can sort of see the roundness of it, so that's what we're going to be working on next. But we also got to be aware of this flat part on the bottom, so I already penciled it in, there it is. So that's sort of like in the center, and so that's what it's essentially going to sit on and not roll over. Now on the side here, I want to put the sort of the line where sort of the profile, the round part will go up to, so I kind of like chose that part on both sides just so I get them the same distance. And then I'm going to draw a line from the beak and to the tail, and do the same on the other side. So essentially what I'm doing here is that's sort of like the, not the midway point, but the kind of fattest part on the bird. So I'm just going to put it in with a Sharpie so you can see it really well. Now what essentially I am doing is I'm going from that point on the bottom, the vivid mark there, to that midpoint there, and just rounding it off, and then I will do the same on the top. So yeah, it's just a matter of sort of like doing one side and then the other. And what the great thing about this cutter burr is it does leave quite a smooth finish. So all of those center lines are very, very important when it comes to this, so I'm not going to go over any of those center lines, and just sort of like round it off in between them. Now with the Kutzall flame burr, you got to remember you got to keep it moving, or else it's going to put a hollow in the bird. So, but it is very good for taking wood off. And so I'm sort of like looking at both sides now. I'm sort of like just trying to get this general shape kind of happening. It's really about observation when it comes to sort of like lining up both sides. Now you can see it's a little bit fatter on the right hand side, and you can also use your fingers just to sort of like feel where it's different. So we will take off a little bit on that side, and we'll just keep on lining them up and try and get them even. Now I want a slightly defined head on this bird, so I'm just going to like mark the top of the head with a bit of an oval, And so that'll be a bit flatter there and then go down, and you'll sort of see what I mean. I don't want to make it too obvious, but just sort of like insinuating that shape of the head. So now what I'm doing is what I did on the bottom, so I'm just sort of like evening out, sort of like making that curvature happen from that top central line to the midway point. And if you're enjoying the video, if you could hit that like, that would be awesome. Gets the video out to a few more people. It's been a bit of a tough year on old YouTube. My views have gone down quite drastically actually. Not quite sure why. Maybe my videos aren't up to scratch. Who knows? Anyway, I'm just going to carry on. Now you can sort of see here, I'm just putting in a slight concave in there, just so that head kind of sticks out a little bit and makes it a little bit different from the body. And then I will sort of like just round off the top of ever so slightly, so that should look pretty good in the end. And I might accentuate that as I go along, and then I usually, if I go too far, then I'll even it out again. You can sort of see me there, I'm sort of like putting a little bit of a concave in there where the head is. And now to start smoothing off the bird, I've gone back to the cutter burr. Now I'm using this extremely lightly, and I'm just sort of going over it. I'm just touching it and keep on going over it until I get rid of the scratch marks that the Kutzall has left. And I've decided that midline, I'm going to just make that a little bit of a feature. So I'll sort of like lower the bottom part of it a slight little bit of a line there, I guess you would say, and sort of just a design feature. You want to keep these kind of birds really, really simple, just as minimal kind of details as possible. And we are onto the sanding disc now. You can use this to smooth it off as well. Got to keep it moving though, and if you find you're getting big flat spots, just go sort of use a different grit so it's not sort of taking off so much so quickly.